It's Thirsty Thursday, Thirsty Thursday. Grab yourself a pint of beer and that pipe you love so dear. Hey, it's Paul the Pipe Guy. What do you think about our new Thirsty Thursday introduction song there? Yeah, grab your pipe and smoke with me. So it is Thursday, April 8th, and I do, during this rant and this discussion and smoking, I have something that's been of great importance to me for many, many years, actually decades. It's called, well, let me introduce you to my two friends here first for Thirsty Thursday. We have actually three, actually four. I have two bushes set aside. Two cold bush beers. Yeah. Grab whatever makes you happy that you like to drink, and it's Thirsty Thursday. It's a beautiful day in the upstate New York area. Actually, right now it's 82 degrees outside and perfectly sunny. I should be sitting on the front porch smoking a bowl, but I'd rather do this video, and then I'll sit on the front porch later. It stays warm till like midnight on my front porch when it's this temperature. The concrete does. So the two bowls that I have are actually no-name pipes. And I'm sure many of you have no-name pipes. The first one here is kind of a Canadian style a bit. It's very, very wide shank, very oval. The bowl size on this is very generous. And inside of that, I have some not ignored but not smoked in a long time Captain Black Cherry Aromatic Pipe Tobacco. Yes. And I looked all over for any maker's marks or anything on this pipe. I couldn't find anything. It actually has some beautiful carvings in it. It's partly rusticated. The briar's really nice on it. I did notice it does have a couple factory fills, very, very small ones. And a factory fill, as most of you know, and those who don't, is when the briar root, the ball, grows out in the dirt or sand. Sometimes it will enclose a small void of either sand or dirt, depending on its country of origin. Some briar grows in sand, some of it grows in dirt. And when the pipe maker goes to make the pipe, all of a sudden they'll be making the pipe and there's a little hole. It could be very, very small, or it could be large enough to not even make the pipe worth making. The factory fills on this pipe were done very well. I don't know if somebody refinished this pipe. I have no idea, but it has no markings on it at all. Now, the second pipe we have is somewhat similar, but this one does have some marks on it. It says imported briar, and it's stamped on the side, and that's it. And there's no bowl number on either of these. No maker. This one does have a stinger system, which is kind of reminiscent of the K-Woody pipes. Smoke goes down through here, and it goes through this little, you can't see it on the video, but I don't know, goes through this little notch and then over a couple of balls and then down in through here and down through the aluminum or aluminium and then into the stem and into your mouth, and that cools the smoke down dramatically. And the briar on this one is just phenomenal. It's gorgeous. No factory fills, nothing. It actually has little hearts carved in the side of it. If you can see that, it's got a heart there. It's got a heart on that side. And you can see over here, there's just a little something carved into the pipe. So this one is loaded up with my current favorite, which is, say it out loud, vanilla custard. Yeah, last night I ordered another pound of it, so I'm going to have almost 2.5 pounds now of it. And I'm going to put it in mason jars because now this Captain Black actually was made in June of 2020. So it's almost a year old. It's almost been sitting in my mason jar for a year. And I think we'll like this one first. And then I'd like to get on topic to what I'd like to share with you guys on this Thirsty Thursday. This pipe has an extremely wonderful draw on it. It's funny. I'm tasting this Captain Black Cherry Aromatic that I loved. Never thought I'd smoke anything else. And now, I'm sure bystanders would love the smell. But my taste buds have changed. I've gone to butternut burley. I've gone to the church warden. I've gone to spark plug. I've gone to vanilla custard. I've gone to hazelnut. I've gone to all these different flavors and all these different blends. And now this almost tastes like perfumey to me. Maybe because I've been smoking lighter aromatics. I don't know. So, something that's very near and dear to me, especially as I've gotten older, is mentorship. Being a mentor to a young man. And you ladies can be mentors to young women in whatever capacity you feel. But as far as a man's point of view, being a man, it's hard for me to look at a woman's perspective on mentorship. But to me, I've raised 6 sons and 4 daughters. And I always taught them to work hard. I always taught them whatever you do, I don't care if you're sweeping floors for a living, you do the best that you can. You be the best at whatever you're doing. You show up every day with clean clothes, clean and sober, on time. You don't call in sick. You work hard, and you'll always have a job. And I said, I've taught all my children, you can go to college, which some of them have, or you can get into a trade, or you can get into something like the police department, the military, the fire department. You can start your own business. Whatever makes you happy and feel fulfilled, I taught them, is what you should do. So back to the mentorship part. Many, many years ago, when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I was a finance manager. I actually have a background in finance and banking and all that stuff. I don't do that anymore because it's just, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't need the big, big money. I'm not going to chase after that. I do what I do now. I work at a sheet metal shop, machine shop, whatever you want to call it. We have CNC machines there, people that are working press brakes, bending metal to whatever shape it needs to be conformed. We have welders, machinists, blue collar. Totally opposite from what I did before. I used to go to work with a $1,000 suit on every day, $50 tie. Always wanted to look my best. Well, many years ago, when I was in the car business as a finance manager, which basically, after you purchased your automobile, you would come to my office. And what I would do is I would offer you different payment options as far as financing, figure out the down payment you wanted to do, work out all the logistics as far as all of that stuff, and your monthly payment and so forth. I'd offer you, the extended warranty if you wanted to get rust proofing or what, all the different options. The one thing I never did is I never offered anybody anything that I wouldn't buy myself. We had so many products, and I called them mop and glow products, the stuff they had charged $699 for, which was cost the dealership like $30. I wasn't going to sell that crap, not take advantage of my customers. But so back in those days, when I was doing that, I would have young men that would come in, and some of them had fathers, some of them didn't have fathers. There's a lot of young men that don't have fathers. And the statistics on young men who are fatherless, they're 6 times more apt to go to jail than someone who has a father. And a mentor can kind of be like a father figure. And so I would take these young men, I'd show them the ropes, teach them, the things that they needed to know to perform their job position. And I took pride in that. And then after that, I started my own business, my small business. And then after that, I still run my small business, and have a full-time job. I got into the oil change industry, the quick lube oil change, where you come in and you're in and out in 10 minutes and your tires are all pumped up and oil's changed and this and that. And there was several young men that either had fathers, but they were absent fathers, meaning they worked a million, some of them worked a million hours and then would just come home and drink and paid no attention to their sons, didn't teach them anything about life. And I did. And one particular young man, uh, we nicknamed him Sunshine because he had blonde hair and blue eyes like me. And my hair used to be a lot blonder. Good looking young man, 18 years old, very great personality. And actually, everyone that came into the shop to get their oil changed thought he was my son. And so I kind of took him under my wing and showed him a few things. And he went from having multiple girlfriends and stuff to finally finding a nice young lady. And, we still stay in touch. I'm so proud of him. He's actually when he would call me and be always run things past me. Paul, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And by then, I was in my mid to late 40s. And so, I'd been around the block a little bit. So this young man and I, so he says, I'm thinking about getting a job at a bank. What do you think? And I says, I think you'd be great at it. You have a great personality. You're a good looking young man. So now he is a branch manager of a bank, making really good money, met a nice young lady, has a baby with her, bought his first house just, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, saved up a bunch more money, sold his house, and he bought a better house. I'm proud of him. Another young man, he was kind of living on the dark side. Again, 18 years old, and I was in my mid to late 40s. And he, of course, was dating several young women. He actually used to come to my house, and we'd cook together. And I would be drinking some beers and he'd be like, can I have a beer? And I'm like, no, you're only 18 years, or he was 19 at the time. I says, no, when you're 21, you can come over to my house and have a beer when you're of legal age. And so he would bring these different women around and so forth. He'd be like, what do you think of her? And I'd be like, well, she's a pretty girl, but I don't think she's the type of girl. I mean, if you want to just have fun with her and date her, that's fine. And I gave him my advice. I says, but that's not the one you want to bring home to mama. That's not the one that you want to marry. She's either going to cheat on you or break your heart or get pregnant, and then you're going to be paying child support for 21 years. And then finally, he says, I'm going to be 21, Paul. Can I finally come over and have a beer? I was like, sure. Are you having a birthday party? He's like, no. And he didn't have a dad. His ma wasn't around. He just basically had a set of grandparents that he lived with that cared about him. But I says, well, what are your plans for your birthday? And he's like, I don't have any. I said, all right. Whatever you want for your birthday dinner, I'm going to buy. He's like, oh, I have expensive tastes. I says, I don't care. What do you want? He's like, I want steak and king crab legs. I was like, all right, no problem. I'll get all the stuff. Come over at 4 o'clock, we'll cook it together. I'll have a lot of Corona beer because back then, that was our favorite beer. He came over. I had 2 cases of Corona. I had a boat in my garage. We sat in the boat in the garage after dinner. We cooked dinner together. It was a fabulous dinner. And we're drinking beers together in my boat in the garage. Originally, I wanted to have a sober person tow the boat around the town with us drinking beer and having scuba gear on, but I figured that might be too much. So I ended up giving him what I called drunken tractor rides. He had a John Deere tractor. I still have it, with a number 15 garden cart on the back, John Deere. And it's nighttime now, and we're feeling no pain, and I'm towing him around, giving him rides. You know, it's his birthday. He had a house with 1 acre, all cleared. So I'm just driving around, got the headlights on. He's drinking his beer. I got my beer. And just had a great time. That young man finally brought over a wonderful young lady. And prior to all that, I taught him, I was like, look, don't do drugs, man. Just give all that stuff up. It's not worth it. If you want to have a few beers, have a few beers. You know, even if you want to smoke a joint of marijuana or whatever, just don't go overboard. I don't do it, but that's not going to kill you. So he ended up bringing this young lady over, and this woman had a child from a prior relationship, and he's like, what do you think? I says, nah, now you got something. I says, that young lady is the one you bring home to mom. That's the one you don't let go. That's the one that you marry. Good job. I says, do you love her? He says, yeah, I do. I says, well, don't let her out of your grasps. Treat her good. They ended up getting married. They now have the little girl that she had from a prior relationship, and he ended up adopting her. So proud of him. Oh, man. Mark, I'm so proud of him. And they ended up having a son together. They got married, of course, first, and he ended up being a shop manager, the shop manager at a auto repair facility. Just stunning talent. I'm so proud of him. He has a house, has a brand new John Deere tractor. He raises chickens and all kinds of rabbits and geese and all kinds of turkeys. He has a big garden. Just proud of him. But I watched these young men go from where they were, and they would always ask me, hey, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And some of them called me dad. I was like, you can call me dad. That's fine. I watched them go from what I saw huge potential in these young men that wanted to try, that wanted to learn, that wanted to build a good life, go from here to here. And they're still going. So the sheet metal shop that I work at right now, I see young men come in out of high school. You know, and they're 18, 19 years old. They get hired. And the hiring process that the company that I work for does, they do happen to pick really good candidates. These are kids that want to learn. They show up on time, mostly. Their kids. Uh, they're there every day, and they want to learn. And they don't hire any stoners that just want to sit home and smoke dope and come in and do nothing and collect a paycheck. So I don't know how their interview process works, but because I was hired directly by the owner, he's like, "You have a job. I want you to work for me." All right. Uh, but they get really good people. And so there's several young men that have come to work with their fathers. Their fathers work at the sheet metal shop, machine shop, whatever you want to call it. We do a lot of military work. Most of the work we do is top secret military work. And so these young men are being mentored by their fathers, and I find it so wonderful. But some of these other young men, they come in, and some of them don't have fathers, some of them do. But I've taken these young men that their fathers don't work there or whatever, and the ones that want to be taken in under my wing, I take them right in under my wing. It's like, all right. So I've only been there 2.5 years, but I train them to do certain things, and every day or every so often I try to up the ante, teaching them something new, just building in layers to teach them a trade, something that they can support a family with. They're 18 years old, they're coming in, they're only making 13, 50, 14 bucks an hour, which for an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid is okay money. It's $25,000, $28,000 a year. But I want so much more for them, and I care about them like my own sons. This one young man, I was talking to him, and I said, "Look," I says, "You know what?" I says, "You're a really good worker." And I've been working with him for a couple of weeks, and I says, "Look, just do this, do that." I kind of gave him what he needed to do, and we were working as a team together on this project, and did everything to the letter of what I asked him to do. And I said to him, and at the end of each day, I says, "Man, you know what?" I says, "Give me a high five. You did a great job today. You really did." And after about a week of that, I says, "You know what? I really like working for you, or with you. I really like working with you. You're a nice young man." And then we would sit while working and have our little talks, and I'd be like, "Look, whatever you do, I'm sure you probably smoke a little weed here and there." And he'd be like, "Oh, well, we're not going to talk about that." I'd be like, "Don't worry, you come in, you're not under the influence." I says, "But never do cocaine, never do crack, and never do heroin. Never do any of those hard drugs. It'll just take your life away." And so today I was talking with this young man that is taken under my wing, kind of mentoring. And he does have a very good father. His father works for our sister company, and he's a good man. I said to him, I says, I told the owner of the company that you're a really hard worker, and you're really a good worker. You're a great employee. And he's like, "Really?" The thing of it is with these young people, if they're putting it out there, give them recognition, train them. We're passing the torch down to the next generation. All of us that are in our 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, we're passing our knowledge, not only the knowledge of what we do, but the knowledge of life and how to live life, what to do and what not to do. And if you have someone that's receptive that you can pass that on to, it's such a great feeling. It's a great blessing. And so he's like, "You told the owner of the company that I do a great job and that I'm a great employee?" I said you were an awesome worker, which you are. He's like, "What did he say?" He said that your father works for his brother, and your dad's a real good hard worker, and he says, I've seen him work, does a good job. So you got recognition from the owner, a multi millionaire that's there hands on every day. And he got this big smile on his face. So but he deserved it. Give people recognition. Recognize and celebrate other people's achievements. Recognize and celebrate their achievements. Recognize what they're doing. When someone's trying hard, or let's say if they're even trying 60 or 70%, if you give them a little recognition, that goes a long way. And all of a sudden, you're going to be getting 80, 90, 100% out of that person. You just keep high-fiving them, tell them they're doing a great job. If they're not listening to you or whatever, bring it up in a nice way. Never, I don't believe in badgering people. I don't believe in negativism. I don't believe in any of that stuff. I think positive recognition, positive reinforcement, positive everything will get you a lot more. And as middle-aged men, we deserve, it's our duty, at least I feel it's my duty, to those young men, to train them in a trade, and then throw in a little about life too, because you got to have both. I mean, if your life is a wreck, you're not going to do good at your job. So pass the torch down. Share what you've learned. They have to be worth it, though. If you got somebody that's just coming in there to collect a paycheck, why, try with them, but if it doesn't work, don't waste your time. Don't beat a dead horse. So, those were some of my thoughts that I've been thinking about the past few days for Thirsty Thursday. I feel really honored to help show these young men things about life. They did it. I didn't do it. They learned a lot on their own, but when they had questions, they always called the old man up. What do I do? Yeah, well, I might have been there too. I might know the answer to that.